What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having an amazing week so far. As always, if you would like, you can follow me on Instagram at DreamRare. You can follow me on Twitter at Legendary Energy. You can check out my website at legendary.vision. I have some new shirts available at dreamrare.com. But more importantly, stay tuned. I'm just going to stall for about 5-10 more seconds for people to get in. This is breaking news. I don't know if this is hilarious. I don't know if this is sad. I don't even know anymore. I'm not surprised because I knew all this stuff last year, but I got to pretend like it's a new breaking story because all this corruption is new to people, but I've been seeing the mainstream news lying since last year. The whole election, basically, they rigged. But the breaking news is that the Trump-Russia dossier that broke earlier last year or this year, I don't know if it was late 2016 or early 2017, but it is breaking news. It is Washington Post, Newsweek, all the mainstream sources. This isn't a fringe report. This is a mainstream media report. The Trump-Russia dossier was funded by the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign. And if you guys don't remember the fake Russia dossier, which was debunked and just pretty much ridiculed out of existence, that's why you don't hear it anymore, because it was fake to begin with. The Russian dossier was an attempt to bring down President Trump, and it included, a fake story about him going to Russia and potentially being subject to a golden shower. And this feels kind of weird to explain. If you don't know what a golden shower is, look it up. It's like somebody peeing on somebody, some interesting stuff. But anyway, this report was picked up by BuzzFeed News, and BuzzFeed was like, oh, breaking story, we're BuzzFeed, we have so much integrity here. We got the Trump-Russia dossier. And then CNN reported on it, was like, whoa, we got a big story by BuzzFeed over here about Trump. It's really going to bring down the Trump-Russia collusion narrative that we totally made up just to protect our own interests. And then something interesting happened. The entire Trump-Russia dossier and the entire collusion attempt completely collapsed because it was never a real story to begin with. There was no verification of it. Even Washington Post was ridiculing BuzzFeed. Like, how in the world could they publish this and not even verify it? So where did that story come from? How did we get a fake story that BuzzFeed published and CNN covered? Oh, it was the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign shared the funding of that fake story, which then made it to BuzzFeed, which then made it to CNN, which then BuzzFeed got a massive lawsuit from a Russian, firm or tech for spreading fake information about them. So that's how fake news works. That's how propaganda works. And that's what karma in reality is. No matter how much you lie, the truth usually comes back around, and especially when you want to put it on a big scale, as I explained in an earlier video, this whole Russia probe is a whole fake propaganda story to distract you from the real collusion with Russia, which is the Uranium One deal, which is the Clinton Foundation, Bill Clinton, Obama as president, and Mueller as FBI director, letting a quid pro quo deal of about $130 million flow and enrich themselves, meanwhile selling 20% of the United States uranium to Russia. If you're inundated with fake news like MSNBC and CNN, you might be like, what do you mean that happened? I never heard it happen. Of course you never heard it happen, because they don't talk about the truth. They don't talk about reality. They pretty much lied this entire election. My awakening, I've had a spiritual awakening, a physical awakening, whatever, but my real mainstream news awakening, on top of already knowing it's lying, was when I quit my job essentially to follow the Bernie Sanders Hillary Clinton campaign. I'd saved up a bunch of money, I worked hard, and I had the luxury that I earned to take a few months off and follow this election day by day. So I didn't have a day job. I work on the internet when I do side jobs, and I was following the news cycle every single day. I was following what they were saying about Bernie. I was following what they were saying about Hillary, about Trump, and I noticed something crazy. I was like, oh my goodness, the whole mainstream media is basically collaborating and colluding against Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. I saw it with Washington Post. I saw it with CNN and MSNBC. They did the same thing they did to Donald Trump to Bernie Sanders. They did it 4 to 8 years ago, whenever the last election was, when Ron Paul was there. the media acted like he didn't exist, because this is their platform, is they tell you stuff so many times until you start believing it. Donald Trump has a 7% chance of winning. Donald Trump has a 7% chance of winning. Bernie Sanders has no chance. Bernie Sanders has no chance. Bernie Sanders has no chance. They say it and say it and say it and say it until, like programmed computers, zombies, or robots, everybody walks around and says, oh, Hillary Clinton's the president. Bernie Sanders has no chance. Donald Trump and all his supporters are racist and sexist and xenophobes. They just continue to repeat a lie over and over and over. It's a Nazi propaganda tactic, a Alinsky tactic as well, depending which text you're reading, to repeat a lie over and over and over again until the big lie becomes bigger than the small truth. It's why when someone makes a fake tweet, it gets 80,000 retweets, and then they correct themselves and it gets 100 retweets, and now the lie is spread really big. So this is essentially what they did this entire election. The real collusion, the real corruption, the real fixing of the election was the mainstream media and Hillary Clinton fixing virtually everything. And I knew this before the WikiLeaks came out. WikiLeaks published John Podesta's emails because they leaked internally or externally. This still is not very clear, but they leaked and they showed everything that I already knew. When they leaked, everyone's like, oh my God, the Clinton campaign and the mainstream media is working against Trump and Bernie Sanders. And I'm like, you think? I knew that months before they even came out, because I could see with my own eyes. I don't need to see internal documents to see. I watch actions, not words. So I see what they're saying, but I'm watching what everybody's doing. And in those emails showed that they purposely elevated Trump. So if you're the biggest Trump hater and you hate Trump and you think he's bad, it's Hillary Clinton's campaign. Admittingly, it's 100% factual proof that you can research yourself now, that they purposely elevated Donald Trump as a Pied Piper candidate. So if you're sick and tired of seeing Donald Trump all over the news, I told people in June of 2016 hey, if you don't like Trump, I have a crazy idea. Why don't you stop talking about him so much and giving him so much airtime? But that didn't happen because the Clinton campaign purposely elevated Donald Trump. They purposely silenced Bernie Sanders. They purposely gave Donna Brazile of the DNC, gave CNN questions to Hillary Clinton. All of the factual information and 100% proof we have of rigging of the election never came from Donald Trump. It just didn't. And this further proves with the Russian dossier, the fake story that was published on BuzzFeed, that got BuzzFeed sued, that was then published on CNN, that got CNN ridiculed. It didn't come out of the blue. Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC split the funding in some portion. It's not, they're pleading the fifth, like, oh no, we got caught, but we don't want to say more. They funded this fake story. Just like every single fake story that comes out against Trump is probably pushed by them of some sort. You're like, oh, Washington Post reports an anonymous person from the intelligence community said this. That's what was happening from probably November of 2016 until like maybe 2 months ago. So almost an entire year. That was their whole strategy, which completely backfired because people stopped believing it and every story got debunked. They said, Russia hacked the power grid in Vermont, an anonymous source from the intelligence community. Oh, 17 intelligence communities said that, except 17 intelligence communities never said that because the New York Times had to retract that story because it was actually only 4. And even within that, who are the people in the intelligence community saying all these things? Because they're all anonymous sources. In this case of the Clinton and DNC fake Russia dossier, it was an ex-FBI / British intelligence spy that wrote this fake dossier because he got a bunch of Clinton and DNC money and he's like, hey, I'll write a fake story and BuzzFeed can publish it. This is a very weird cycle that has been occurring and I've noticed it because I've taken the time to watch and analyze the news every single day, and I saw that from the beginning of 2015, they had no intention of letting anybody but Hillary Clinton win. The entire DNC is ridiculously rigged, not only physically, structurally, and mainstream media-wise, but the DNC has superdelegates. So when Donald Trump runs against the Republicans, it's an open show. If he can get more votes, he'll win the presidency. When it comes to the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders had no chance because there are super delegates, which mean 400 to 700 people who vote whichever way they want. So Hillary Clinton had 600 something delegates to start with. It's like the Warriors and Cavaliers playing a basketball game, except the Cavaliers start with 50 points. They're going to win every single time because the whole game was rigged to begin with. This is the Democratic primary. It's just a fact. They purposely elevated Trump up. They purposely rigged all the news. They purposely got all the celebrities to do everything that they could. They had benefit concerts, this and that, and they still lost to Donald Trump. So all of this Russian news that you hear, it's basically just a big hissy fit from a bunch of establishment elites who have all the money in the world, who have all the power in the world, who have all the control in the world, but they couldn't control people's minds because the internet is here. Donald Trump spoke to people, Bernie Sanders spoke to people, Jill Stein spoke to people, and people are sick of the status quo BS, which is just a bunch of smoke and mirrors, lies, and doing the exact opposite of what you say you're going to do. So that is what is at the essence of all of this ridiculous Russia drama, because the biggest collaboration between Russia is not the fake Russia-Trump dossier, which now we know, based on today's news, was funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign herself in the DNC, but the biggest Russia collusion was a couple years ago when Hillary Clinton was as Secretary of State, when Barack Obama was the president, when Robert Mueller, head of the Russia probe, was the FBI director. There was a quid pro quo pro deal that hundreds of millions of dollars flowed to the Clinton Foundation. Bill Clinton got a $500,000 speech for a 30-minute speech in Moscow for Kremlin-linked banks, and they sold the United States uranium, which makes nuclear bombs, to Russia. I mean, it's the most ridiculous, bizarre story ever told. It's by far probably the biggest single piece of propaganda that has been so jammed down people's throats in the United States with the help of Morgan Freeman, with the help of Rachel Maddow, with the help of the Young Turks, with the help of Keith Olbermann, with the help of Newsweek and Washington Post and New York Times. It's the single most blatantly spread lie ever I've seen in modern history, and that's quite a statement because the news lies all the dang time. And they've been doing this for the past 2-3 years. So when I find out that the Russia-Trump dossier was never real to begin with and that it was funded by the DNC and Hillary Clinton, I'm not even remotely surprised because I see how much they cheat, I see how much they lie, and I see how much they misdirect to blame everybody else for the things that they're actually doing. So 1 year of investigating, and all that they found out was that Russia bots were using Pokemon Go. And this is another story that people need to understand, because you hear, whoa, Russia hacked Facebook and they're using Pokemon Go. What Russia did on Facebook and on what Russia did on Facebook and on Pokemon Go was they were posing as black activists. So they were like Trayvon Martin and Muslim women and saying a bunch of social justice rights stuff. So once the Washington Post and once CNN found out, oh my God, the Russian bots were doing exactly what we do 24/7, they started pushing the story of, whoa, Russia's hacking Facebook and hacking Pokemon Go to divide the American people. Oh my goodness, the Russians are all over Pokemon Go and they're using $100,000 worth of Facebook ads. In those Facebook ads and on Pokemon Go, what they were pushing was social equality, social justice talking points, which is exactly what Huffington Post does every single day. It's exactly what Washington Post does every single day. It's exactly what Hillary Clinton's campaign was based on. It's exactly what CNN preys on people every single day. So they're blaming Russia for doing exactly what they're doing. They're blaming Trump for doing exactly what they did times 30. The ridiculousness of the mainstream media collaboration with past politicians is so profound that when I find out that this fake golden shower Russia-Trump dossier that got BuzzFeed in a lawsuit and got CNN mocked and ridiculed was actually funded by Clintons and the DNC, I'm not even remotely surprised because I've been following this story since 2016. So other news sources, their audiences are dumbfounded. Most people here, unfortunately, already know this stuff because I've been talking about it since October because it was blatantly obvious to me at what's really going on. I don't care if you're left or right or conservative or progressive. What I care about is the truth. What I care about is unity. What I care about is respecting people and common sense and finding common ground that we can build and just enjoy our lives. Like, that's what it's all about. Just have fun and make a decent living. But there's so much division, hate, and misinformation in the mainstream media that is being fueled by the politicians that it's almost impossible to do if you follow that. And before I leave, I just want to end on one more thing. Recently, it was breaking news for the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, or the progressives who were like, we're not the Democratic Party, we like Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein, and we like the environment. You know, I consider myself progressive in many ways. They found out that the DNC reformatted and they picked their new team, and there were no Bernie wing people from it. It was all just old establishment corruption. And to that, I have to say, to my progressive friends or supporters, if you're left, if I didn't hurt your feelings with some other video that I barely said anything, this has been obvious for over a year. I stopped paying attention to the DNC and the Democratic Party because I know they don't care about true progressivism. I know they don't care about the environment. I know they don't care about real good Bernie Sanders supporters. So look at the whole cycle of everything. The DNC cheated Bernie Sanders. The mainstream media cheated Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders himself took $180 million from his people, like, yo, we're going to fight the establishment, and then funneled his supporters into the establishment. So this trend of oh my God, that's breaking news to progressives. They're like, what? There's no Bernie Sanders supporters in the new DNC staff? Of course there's not, because they never planned on messing with you. They just kind of sheep herded you, try to get you into the Democratic Party because they think we're a bunch of dumb zombies. And they think if they keep screaming racism, sexism, and genderism loud enough that everyone's going to freak out and just run into their corner. So let's strip away what gender, race, religion we are, and let's just look at things objectively, not get so upset, not have our feelings hurt, realize that facts matter more than our emotional feelings about stuff, because if you're feeling about something that's not real, it doesn't matter as much as the truth. And political party and side don't really matter. We all want the same things. We all want freedom, justice, equality, peace, respect. That's what we all want. So let's stop letting politicians divide us. Let's stop letting the mainstream media divide us. Let's stop making them feel like it's a sports game. Like, oh, I'm a progressive, and oh, I'm a conservative, and oh, we got to yell at each other on Twitter every day. It's so annoying. That's why I don't even argue with people anymore. I just block them out of my existence. Like, they don't even exist to me. But just to repeat before we leave, the breaking story, not by me, it's by Washington Post, Newsweek, Washington Times, Fox News. Everyone's reporting on it. The DNC and Hillary Clinton paid for the fake Russian dossier that literally collapsed and got BuzzFeed sued and CNN mocked. So if you wonder where that fake dossier came from that made headlines for 2 months and made people run in circles, it came from Hillary Clinton and the DNC. You can't make this stuff up. Look into the Uranium One situation, the real Russian scandal. Now the Russia probe is investigating it, and this whole Russia propaganda investigation is about to implode on itself, and it will always be remembered as the biggest piece of propaganda in U.S. history, which I've been warning people about for a year, so I'm very happy about that. At least proud to not be on the side of complete misinformation and spreading a lot of knowledge and wisdom that a year ago that is just now breaking into the mainstream circuit. So God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to donate to my news analysis, I'm going to put a link below. It really helps. I'm competing with, I wouldn't even say competing because it's not a competition. I'm showing love. I want the big corporations to be bigger than me. I don't need that much money, but your donations help 1,000 times so much. It gives me the space, the time, the energy, and the resources to get what I need to grow and expand. That's what we're doing. We got a podcast on the way. I'm going to talk to everybody, spread truth, love, wisdom, knowledge, unity, have some fun. We got so much more stuff. I have a store online now, and I'm going to launch a news network eventually. Very excited about all that stuff. So thank you so much for the donations. They mean the world. And just with my laptop and my cell phone and the help of you guys, the authenticity, we're able to reach millions of people weekly. That's a blessing. That's what it's all about, is spreading the message and spreading good vibes. So thank you so much. God bless you and have an amazing week. I'll be back working hard.